This is my doula bag that I've brought. It's huge because I like to have all the measures with me. But some things that may come in handy as a support person is this is a long shawl in the indigenous traditions. It's called a rebozo, and it can be used, number one, to keep you warm in the hospital, but also to support different measures in terms of, we'll talk about these later when we talk about coping measures, but supporting the birthing person's back, supporting their positioning, helping them to relieve some of the weight that's on their lower body and pull. And I'll show you some techniques with this. Another thing is the setting the space. It's really important to set the space. And as a doula, I always bring in some type of scent, some type of essential oils or a diffuser. I always bring in some massage tools in order to help. And of course, you need snacks. When we're talking about snacks for the birthing person, we're talking about small bites that are easily digestible, because during labor, you're not necessarily going to want to eat a whole meal, but you're going to have small bites and snacks that you want to bring with you. You may also want to bring some massage oil. Massage from the head to the toe is a great coping strategy, and having some type of oil, it doesn't have to be anything particular. It can be your avocado oil, grapeseed oil, olive oil if you have it, coconut oil, whatever you have that is comfortable and it's not going to irritate your skin. You want to put that in your support person bag. You also may want to put some type of fan or cooling. There's lots of times where our birthing people get really warm, and to have a fan in order to help cool them down is very beneficial. These are small things. I really want to make birth accessible, and so it's not necessary for you to go out and buy all of these, specific birthing items. It's about making your area comfortable for you. So if you are someone who loves to listen to particular music, you want to bring your music with you. You want to have that music that's going to help you feel good. I see a question in the chat about snacks, vegan food. So every hospital is different. I don't want to say anything that's standard across the board, but typically your birthing person is going to receive some meals. Hospital food, as we all know, is not the greatest food. I've never been to a hospital where the food was like, this is delicious. And so you are encouraged to bring some of your own food, anything that's going to make you feel comfortable. But like I said, we're going to the hospital in active labor, and a lot of times you're not going to want to eat a big meal. So some things like some cut fruit, some cut vegetables, cheese, crackers, small bites of sandwiches, honey sticks for energy. All of these type of things are really great for healthy snacks to bring. Let's see, what else? When you're dealing with labor, we want to think about our five senses, and staying hydrated is one of those things. So we think a lot about food, but also about beverages. You want some electrolytes as you're going through this journey. You're thinking about this as a marathon, right? This is a marathon. You're an athlete. You're going in, preparing for this, and you want to make sure that your body has the energy that it needs to last the full course. Let's see, what else did I have for your hospital bag? Grooming supplies, of course, for your birth partner. And also some wipes. You may not have like baby wipes, but wipes, body wipes are a great way to just touch up and even refresh yourself when you're in the labor room. Can we meal prep our own? What about food? Yes, definitely will meal prep your own. Meal prepping, even into the postpartum, is key. I think that's one of the reasons we get our nesting energy, is because we want to take that energy beforehand to prepare. So when we get home, we can just kind of sit back and heal and be with our new little life. Let me get back to this screen share here. Just one moment. Okay, so here's the things in the bags. As I said before, you see the snacks, the juice box, the oil, the nursing bra, the glasses, all of these things for the birthing person. And don't forget about the partner also needing some food, needing to be the one. In this COVID-19 time, we're also able to order some food because the cafeterias are often closed, which is where the birth partners and support persons would have been able to go prior. And so most hospitals are allowing the support person to go down and meet any delivery that's happening. And so that is also an option for you. So let's talk about the actual stages of labor. I'm going to play a short video for you, and then we'll talk about the different stages in detail.
Labor has 3 stages. In the first stage of labor, the body prepares to give birth. There are 2 phases, early and active. Early labor can last from hours to days. First-time moms may spend more time in this phase. The cervix, or the opening to the uterus, begins to soften, efface, or thin out, and dilate or open. The cervical changes are necessary so the baby can pass through. Usually, a woman's water breaks during the first stage of labor. Contractions or tightening of the uterus becomes strong and regular. Typically, the woman will have a 30 to 70 second long contraction every 5 to 20 minutes. There may also be a stringy, bloody discharge from the vagina called bloody show. This is considered normal. To dilate more quickly, contractions get stronger, last longer, and occur more often. The cervix continues to open wider to about 10 centimeters. Then pushing can start. In the second stage of labor, the child is born. A healthcare provider usually encourages the woman to push to help the baby move down the vagina. She might push for minutes or hours. Once the baby's head starts to come out, called crowning, a provider guides the rest of the baby out. Childbirth is finished when the baby is completely out of the vagina. The provider then cuts and clamps the umbilical cord, which connected mom and baby during pregnancy. The last stage of labor involves delivery of the placenta or afterbirth. During pregnancy, the placenta supplies food and oxygen to the fetus. Once the umbilical cord is cut, the placenta has to come out. Contractions typically begin 5 to 10 minutes after the baby's birth. During this time, the placenta detaches from the uterus. A provider may encourage the woman to push, just as she did to deliver the baby. After 5 to 30 minutes, the placenta comes completely out of the vagina. Then the process is complete.
So warm-up labor is something that people rarely talk about. We hear about early labor, we hear about active labor, we hear a lot about crowning, but rarely do we hear about this warm-up labor. And I think this is an important one to start off with because it can be happening days before you actually go into labor. And this is about the baby dropping down further into the pelvis and the cervix really beginning to soften, thin, and actually change position, moving forward instead of back, so that it's all in alignment to come into that vaginal canal. You may begin to open. There's some people who have dilation of like 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters long before they go into labor, and that's absolutely normal. And then you're having contractions that are irregular. They're achy. They may change or stop or go away depending on if you eat or change positions or drink water. So we know that these contractions are not effective or efficient, that they're just starting to warm our body up. During this time, it's very important to just remain calm and not get too excited, especially if this is your first baby. Things start moving and you're waiting and you're like, oh my goodness, yes, we're about to get into labor. And you might start getting the last minute things together and exerting a lot of energy. I want to caution you against that. I want to encourage you to stay home, to rest, to eat and drink, and just take it as easy as possible. You want to be surrounded by people who are relaxing, that are going to provide you with reassurance, provide you with support, and encourage you to get through this very early time of labor. Once we get past that warm up, we're actually in early labor, and early labor is a long process. I know when I was first hearing this idea of early labor, I didn't understand, like, how is it lasting forever, but it's early? Shouldn't it just like early, middle, boom, hit it? But early labor can last 2/3 of the entire labor, especially for that first baby. And that's because so much work is being done in order to completely thin out that cervix, open it up to 6 centimeters, release any bloody show or mucous membranes that may be in there. And those contractions are starting to get into their rhythm. So they're starting to be longer, stronger, and more regular. You can time them, you can count on them. Again, this is still early labor. And so we want to rest. We want to rest and we want to do some activity in order to make sure that this labor keeps progressing and keeps going. So things like taking a walk, getting into the shower, taking a nap with your partner or a loved one, and simple activities. So you can put on a movie and relax, sit, drink some water, stay hydrated, have a meal, make a meal. Also, you want to empty the bladder often. If anybody's been on a long car ride and has had to use the bathroom, you know it makes a complete difference when your bladder is empty, whether your bladder is full. You're able to focus more, you're able to relax more. And so even if you just have a little bit of sensation of having to go, you want to make sure that you go ahead and keep that bladder as empty as possible. And okay, so early labor, you're not going to get excited. You're not going to rush to the hospital, especially now during times of COVID. They want you there during active labor. So this time is for you to be at home. Now, if you do have a doula who is supporting you in person, you can arrange for your doula to meet you at your home. You can labor with your doula at home. So that's some support, and that's an alternative, especially if they're not going to be the ones to go with you to the hospital. They can be there at home supporting you and getting you through this time, helping you stay hydrated, helping you focus, and just be present. All of this can be applied to home birth specifically. Right now, we haven't even left the house in terms of all of these preparations. Okay. In terms of your bag, you won't need a bag, but you still want to pull those same supplies out. You definitely want to speak to your midwife about their birth kit, because there are particular medical supplies that your midwife will need. And they typically say, go online and order this birth kit, and it will have, you know, the chucks and the wipes and the panties and all those things that the hospital typically provides are going to be in your birth kit, or they'll give you a list of things to gather as you're preparing. But in the home situation, it's just a little bit easier because you don't have to create the space as much as you do, because you're already in a space that's comfortable.